Hello everyone, and welcome to the Dice Commando YouTube channel. I'm Andrew, with you here as always. This is Go Again, a fabulous video cast covering the trading card game Flesh and Blood. This video and others like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. Please show your support with a like and subscribe, and be sure to hit the bell notification icon so you don't miss any new videos. If you want to get involved with the channel, consider becoming a channel member. There are many benefits to channel membership, including access to our Discord, exclusive deck tech and strategy videos, and the opportunity to help create channel content. I want to sincerely thank all our channel members, as I truly couldn't do this without your support. You guys rock. Go Commando.
Hey there, Flesh and Blood folks. Thanks for tuning in. So doing something a little different tonight, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really excited about this. So kind of the backstory to tonight's cast is my good friend Mike. And actually, for those of you who've been on the channel for a long time, you may remember Mike. He used to do casts with me for another game. Really good guy, great friend of gaming, great community member. He has this. He has this old, it's old, out of date. That's the better way to say it, right? He has an out of date Bravo deck. Now, for those of you who've been watching the channel for a long time, you remember that I got in at the very beginning, and back in October 2019, and I was trying to get others in the area into it. And Mike did. He bought in and went and picked up some packs, and he pulled himself Tectonic Plating, right? And we're talking first edition Welcome to Wrathe, right? And so he built himself a Bravo Blitz deck around that, and was using it to play with me. Now, he fell out of Fab. It wasn't really the game for him. But as things have evolved, right, he's kind of evaluating, hey, what would this deck look like if I were to kind of upgrade it to make it relevant for today? So I have his deck, right, obviously right here. And what I want to do tonight is basically look at it and say, hey, let's look at this at two levels. Let's upgrade it to be relevant to today. We'll do a cheap-ass version, right? We'll just kind of upgrade it with some commons and some rares that would be relatively cheap to get, maybe even could get from buddies. And then we'll do a quote-unquote balls-to-the-wall version where, if money's no object, let's trick this baby out. So that's what we are doing today, is we're upgrading my buddy Mike's Bravo Hammer deck. Hey folks, thanks for tuning in to Dice Commando and Go Again, a fabulous cast. I'm Andrew, with you here as always, and thanks for tuning in on this Friday evening, as when they'll go live in the US, Saturday for many others of you, or if you're tuning in later, well, whatever day it is for you. But thanks for tuning in. So the reason I'm excited about tonight's cast isn't just because I'm making a video for him, but I mean yes I am. I'm looking at his deck and helping him, obviously. But it's also more of kind of the overall activity, right? I think it's fun to basically sit and think about it this way, right? A lot of times when we are, theory crafting decks, what do? We get on the DB, or I'm an old man, I like to get a binder and actually write things down, right? What we do is we craft kind of our ideal list, right? And then generally we work back from there, right? It's like, oh, I don't have 3 Seek and Destroys yet. I'll run Nimblism instead, right? Or something like that, right? You try to make, it's like if you're missing something and you don't want to go drop $30, you'll kind of make those back trades. But instead tonight, what we're doing, and I, pointing the wrong way, sorry, it's a new overlay. But over here, I'm running Mike's deck right now, kind of a video going through it, but we're starting with something and evolving it, right? And I think that's kind of a fun and valuable activity to go through, right? Because what it does is it gives us a starting point, and it basically makes us look at value, right? And I don't mean value necessarily from an in-game perspective. I mean, sure we do, right? What are the better cards? But we're also looking at value in terms of, if we want to help in this case, we want to help our friend, or we want to take something that we have. Let's say we take 6 months off the game, we need to come back, whatever it may be. It makes us look at value as like, I only have $100. What can I do best out of that $100, right? I enjoy activities like that. And, you guys have seen stuff like that on the past in here as well, where we, on the channel as well, where we, kind of look at value from that point, bang for your buck, right? That's kind of what I'm focusing on here. So the goal tonight isn't necessarily to copy, right? I could very easily just go out and net deck and copy, the top 8 Vegas Bravo deck. Bravo didn't make it, right? But you know what I mean, right? So we could very easily do that. But that's not really the goal, right? The goal is to kind of efficiently step up. And of course, like I mentioned, we're doing 2 versions. The first version is basically like, hey, how can we take his deck as it is today and revamp it at basically the cheapest price? And let's be honest, most of the, like, for commons and rares is what's going into the cheap ass build, right? Which probably could upgrade off of somewhere like Fab Foundry. Could probably upgrade for $10, or he could probably ask his buddies, and probably most of them have the commons and rares just sitting around that he could have, right? Now the big thing here, right? The elephant in the room is the lack of tectonic plating, because Mike sold his tectonic plating back in the day. At one point we're all like, man, tectonic first edition cold foils are going for like $400 or $500. That's insane. You should totally sell. And he did. And oops. Who the heck knew, right? But he could still go back and buy a rainbow foil for $150 or whatever it is now, and still have made out pretty well. But so yeah, with the cheap ass upgrade, that's the thing to note, is that as we move into that it's not focused. It's focused on doing it cheaply. That's what it is. So and then obviously as we move into the final build, like I said, it's not just net decking something. It's looking at what he has and evolving it, versus just saying here's our ideal list and building into it. Okay, so the video, like I said, the video is going right now. We'll loop it if we need to. But what he has is, there's a Blitz deck, remember, so he has 2 Spinals, 2 Cranials, 2 Red Crushes, is all reds, 2 Debilitates, and 2 Emerging Powers. For yellows, he has 2 Disables, 2 Pummels, 2 Stonewalls, 2 Staunch Responses, 2 Emerging Powers, and 1 Buckling Blow yellow. For blues, he has 2 Showtimes, 2 Cranials, 2 Disables, 1 Crush Confidence, 2 Buckling Blow, 2 Debilitate, 2 Pummels, 2 Stonewalls, 2 Blessings, and then 2 Staunch Responses. So you will note, obviously I have the image up now. You will note it's kind of difficult to read in terms of going down, because what I've done is I've spaced it out. The reason for that is I want all cards to be on the same line in each column, and the idea there is it makes it very easy to track what we are adding and what we're dropping, right? That's the theory there. So I realize there are gaps there, but the idea is to track the same card to see whether we're keeping it, whether we're losing it, what we need to add, and what we need to take away. Okay. So with that, and again, I want to put this in perspective, right? His deck was built, I think actually Arcane had just come out, is around the time that we were playing, because I do remember playing him with Azalea very, very early on. So I think Arcane Rising had come out, but that was the meta we were dealing with. Plus, it was it was very early, right? So you can look at that list and like, yeah, in terms of today's knowledge, it's not great, but it's got a lot of the tools, and the tools that he have are, he has most of the big tools, right? He's got Spinals, Cranials, right? He's got what he needs. So it makes it very easy for us to kind of switch the focus a little bit and move into the cheap ass. So that's what I want to do. I want to focus primarily on the hammer side, especially because, again, he does not have the tectonic, right? So without being able to poop out the size mix consistently, it makes it harder to play that big stuff. So it makes sense, especially with, when we move into the Balls to the Walls build, Tear Asunder, right? Tear Asunder, the new thing, also helps the hammer, right? So moving into the cheap-ass upgrade, we're going to keep the top 4. So Spinals, Cranials, Crushes, Debilitate, no reason not to keep those, right? No reason not to keep those. We are dropping the Emerging Power, and what we're doing, or what I'm doing, is I'm swapping the Blessing Blue for Blessing Red. Right now, Blessing Blue serves its own purpose, but remember that it's not a 3 cost in of itself, and I just think you get more mileage out of the Red Blessing. I'm a Red Blessing guy. I know there's a debate for the both, but I'm a Red Blessing guy. I'm also adding the Blue Pummels are becoming Red Pummels. Next card I want to add is Zealous Belting. Now, Zealous Belting will not transfer into the next build. We're going to make room for something else. But this is a really cool card that works in like in a primary hammer build. I think it works really well, right? Because you can 2-drop it, get your attack in. As long as you pitch something that's higher than Zealous, it has Go Again, which lets you then pitch the swing for your hammer, which now there's enough in your pitch zone that Anathos is swinging for 6, right? So it's I think it's a 4, go again into your 6, and again it's more stuff that, you know, we're very familiar with that already, with the Anathos swinging for 4 on a 3, but then you can pummel, go in, and now it's Anathos on 6 plus whatever pummel's coming for. We're very familiar with that because it's not a static swing, right? It moves when your pitch moves. It's basically the same concept, right? So the idea is they're really just it's expanding on the hammer attack. Now I did add Thump both red and blue. I do want to preface this with the fact that Thump is a little harder to. It's very difficult to get boosted, right? Because Thump needs to be above. It has to, and sorry, not boosted because that has different connotations with Mechanologist. It needs to be pumped, right? You have to pump. You have to pump Thump. Now I never even. You have to pump Thump in order to get the bonus out of Thump. But, you know, we've got the gauntlets, right? So, I mean, that's basically the only move there. So, you know, you could very easily say that you don't like red Thump, but we also want to have 6s and stuff because Prism's a thing. So I think going red Thump and blue Thump, now you'll notice that those don't translate up. Those are the only cards I have in the cheap ass upgrade that he would have to build, he would have to acquire and then throw away. I mean, not throw them away, but you know what I mean, right? He'd have to acquire and then he wouldn't be using them in the further build. But I think it's a really, really good threat. That card is really, really good. Keeping the yellow pummel in both builds across, and then, you know, the blue package is pretty solid, right? He's got Showtime, Cranial, Disable, Crush Confidence, Buckling Blow, Debilitate. Those all stay in. One card we're adding is Outmuscle. Actually, take that back. Outmuscle's not moving forward either, but it's a card out of Monarch. It's a blue pitch, cost 3. Just a nice, cheap common. It does good things. We got the Thump. We have 2 Choke Slams, adding those in. Those were from Crucible of War, which didn't exist when Mike built this deck. We're adding Unmovables. That one probably should have been in from the get-go, so we're definitely adding the Unmovables, and then keeping the Staunches. So yeah, you can very much see from the cheap ass build that it's very, very hammer focused. It's primarily hammer focused, which makes sense because it's going to be hard without the Tectonic to do the crush thing, right? To do spinals and your big crushes. All right, so now let's move on to the balls to the wall build. This one is very. I mean, look at the equipment: Arcanite, Tectonic, Crater Fist. Right, we're building out our armor. And that ain't cheap, right? And I mean that from a actual real life money perspective. The good news here is that the number of purchases for the main body deck itself are not that bad, right? We go look. I mean, most of it translates. We're dropping Zealous Belting, adding Mangle. I think that's in the $10 or less range. Because remember, that's Crucible, which we've now seen unlimited. The block there from Showtime, Cranial, Disable, Crush, that all stays the same. Thump, blue Thump we're keeping in. We're adding Snag, also from Crucible. That one's a little on the pricier side, or at least it was last I checked. Chokeslam there. I just saw it. Well, the image says House the Ancients, which would be very nice for you to put them up for the weekend, but it's Rouse the Ancients. Get them awake and get them out of your house. So Rouse the Ancients time 2, that one I think is a no-brainer. Also, it's a 3-pitch, does some pretty crazy stuff if you can get it to work. We have Unmovable, Staunch Response, and then you guys know I think this is the best card in all of Tales of Aria, Tear Asunder, right? Remember, Tear Asunder does work for weapons, right? And it works for Thump and gives you a ton of options. So this Balls to the Walls build, I think, I mean, aside from the fact that it gets you a lot more in terms of your onboard equipment, which is not irrelevant, the number of threats that just adding Tear Asunder with yellow pummel and red pummel, you have 6 cards in your Blitz deck, that present some sort of onboard threat with pummel, with Anathos, does pretty crazy stuff. And then with those threats, it can allow you to Tectonic Plating out, maybe do a, swing, crush type of, off, on, whatever you want to call it, 2-2-1 type of turn sequence, trying to get it all set up, right? And, you know what? We've all seen it before. Sometimes if you just get the gas that you need, you can crush every turn, right? If they're dumping their hand to prevent crushes and you can keep the crush pressure on, that's what Bravo does well, right? He blocks, he hammers, and when he can get the chance, he goes. And once Bravo goes, it's really hard to get back. So that's it. Like I said, the objective here was to not completely throw everything out the window. It was to evolve what he had. And luckily what he has in here, I mean, remember, this is all first edition stuff. This is pretty hot, right? We'll get it back to him, don't worry. But yeah, I mean, he gave us a really good starting point to work with, and I think he could be pretty happy with the final build there, if that's what he decided to do. I also think he could be really, really happy at a casual level, playing with his buddies, playing with us at the kitchen table. I think he'd be really, really happy with the middle upgrade as well, right? And again, I'm pretty sure most of it's probably $10 or less. I haven't priced it out, probably $10 or less, but I'm betting most of those he could get from guys at the shop who just have extra stuff sitting in their binders or their boxes. So anyway, that's it for tonight, folks. Hopefully you thought this was, if you're still watching, you probably did. So thank you very much. But I enjoyed going through this activity. It helps my brain sometimes, and I think it does have value. So anyway, that's going to be it for today. I do want to remind everyone, we are playing every weekend at Gungai. Well, most weekends at Gungai, working around holidays and stuff like that, right? But that makes sense. So schedule's up. Come join us, right? If you're in the area, come join us. Even if you're not in the area and just want to come join us anyway, come do it, right? We're basically alternating between Blitz and CC every other weekend. Lots of options for everyone, but it's a good time either way. And then if you're like me and you're trying to get your decks built out for Tales of Aria and you're looking for singles, Travis over at Fab Foundry, he will hook you up. He's a good guy, local to me. If you are going to go over there and shop with him, please use the link below. It gives me a small kickback, which helps me also build out my decks. Then we can talk about them more, right? So, thank you for doing that. And again, supporting, a real good person with your money it's valuable, right? He has an LGS as well. It runs events, so he's a good guy in the Fab community, so please support him. So anyway, folks, and Mike, hopefully this worked for you as well. But everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hopefully this added value. There's nothing else, folks. Go Commando.